Okay. So here we are. Kandidja is here with us. Welcome, Kandidja.
Thank you for having me, Barbara.
I'm so thankful that you are here today and that you share your time and your energy with us. I think that we really need your energy right now in Slovenia. So that's why I decided to have this chat with you, okay, and to invite you here. So could you tell me, Kandidja, who you are and what are you doing, or how are you helping other people?
Yes, my name's Kandidja Yansane. I live in California in the San Francisco Bay Area. I am a business coach. My business is bloomintoyou.com, and I help coaches, healers, guides package their offering, their expertise into a paid high ticket offer. A lot of my clients identify as heart-centered. They really care about the work that they do, and they want to create work that feels meaningful. A lot of people feel like it's their purpose or their calling. It doesn't have to be, but a lot of the people that I work with feel like their business is a deep expression of who they are. And so I help them get paying clients. And that's like the first layer of it, but it's also about really finding the confidence, really knowing who you are, being willing to put yourself out there and really fall in love with yourself, So it's like on one level, yes, I'm teaching you practical things around marketing, around sales conversations, around booking discovery calls, but it's also really about owning your gifts and really standing in the value of them.
Okay. If I translate just a little bit.
Sure.
Lepo sem pozdravila Kandidjo in rekla, da je lepo, da deli svoj čas in energijo z nami, da jo potrebujemo zdaj, njeno energijo v Sloveniji, in sem jo vprašala, kaj počne, in Kandidja je povedala, da je coachinja za take, kot sem jaz, in vse podobne, ki so zdravitelji, coachi, svetovalci in tako naprej. Pomaga dobiti, se pravi, stranke, ki plačajo, da lahko živiš od tega, ne da je samo tvoj hobi, ampak je to tvoj biznis, tvoj posel. Predvsem pa uči oziroma pokaže, kako se povezati sam s sabo in kako imeti sam sebe rad. Evo, tako na kratko. Thank you, Kandidja. So,
Sure.
your first language is French.
Yes, so my parents are immigrants from West Africa, Guinea. And when my mom was here, she didn't speak English yet. And when she had me, she spoke French to me until about preschool.
Oh.
And when she would come pick me up from school, the kids would be like, "What's that funny language?" I'm like, "Funny language, it's French." I mean, I didn't say that when I was 3 or 4, but so French was always around me. I do speak, it's not as fluent as my English, but my parents are immigrants, and that's a huge part of my identity. And I often share that, they come here looking for a better life. My dad was a professor, and so for them, education was the answer, which I agree, it's important to educate, but I think education looks different for different people. And so my father always thought that I should major in business. And today I'm a business coach, even though when he said that years ago, when I was, a teenager in college, Barbara, I never would have thought that I would be a business coach, because I think a business coach looked a certain way. They weren't soft. They didn't wear colors. I was thinking corporate America. And I don't know what I thought, but I felt like it wasn't me. But my whole idea of business has changed, because especially for if you're a coach or a healer, like you starting a business is a way that you serve. It's a way that you creatively express yourself. It's a way that you bring your gifts, like teaching, interviewing, asking questions, all of these things. So years later, my dad's in his 80s now. I said, you were right. I mean, I didn't need to go that route, the business degree route, but at the end of the day, I think business really is about relationships and building community and having connections like this, you know? So like you're in Slovenia and I'm in California, and we get to have this connection and connect over this topic.
Yeah, and this business path is also very creative.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
which I didn't know. I didn't know
yeah, me
when he
also.
was saying that, I thought it was rigid. It was the opposite of creative. And I felt like I was a creative person. So I was like, why would he think that I would major in business? But I now see business as incredibly creative, which is why so many coaches, creatives, artists, healers are drawn to create their own business.
Yeah. Torej, na kratko, kar je povedala Kandidja, vprašala sem jo, če je njen prvi jezik francoski, in je odgovorila ja, ne, da so starši pač prišli iz Gane, se mi zdi, da je rekla, in da njena mama ni poznala angleščine, tako da so z njo govorili potem tudi v francoščini, in njen oče pravzaprav želel za njo, da gre na poslovno pot, ne, in si ni nikdar mislila, da bo pač na tej poslovni poti, ker za njo je to pomenilo čisto nekaj drugega kot zdaj, ne, ko je spoznala, kaj je biznis in kako kreativen je biznis in kaj se lahko uporablja na tej poslovni poti. So, you are also a mother of two.
I am. I have a 5-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter who's in the second grade. And Barbara, I started my business right before I got pregnant with my daughter, who just turned 7.
Oh.
And they've been with me this whole time. So I remember even just taking some of my first online coaching programs, and I'd be there with my daughter, bouncing, listening, learning. So yes, they are in vacation from summer right now. But I like to say that because sometimes people feel like, oh, I have small children, I can't do this, or my children are going to college. And the truth is we all have so many other things outside of starting a business. Maybe you have a full-time job, maybe you have aging parents, you have friends and a social life, and you can make time for the things that are a priority for you.
Vprašala sem jo, rekla sem, da je mama 2 otrok in je povedala, da ima sina in hčerko in da je pravzaprav začela s svojim poslom kmalu po porodu, mislim, da hčerke, in da jih je celo imela v naročju, ko je začela in je delala s strankami, in s tem je tudi kazala ljudem, ne, da lahko, ženskam pravzaprav, da lahko imajo posel, kljub temu, da imajo družino ali pa majhne otroke. Važno je samo, kaj je tvoja prioriteta. Okay. Kandidja, how did you start your business and why?
Yeah. So I became a coach in 2007. So that's over a decade ago, and I went through a great coaching program. I loved it so much. I felt like I really bonded with my peers who were in the coaching program, and I really learned the skills of being a good coach, like learning to listen deeply, ask quality questions, get to the issue and help people move along. But they really didn't teach me the skills to start a business and go out and get clients. So I left my program. I had my first few clients because we had to in the coaching program. And then I went on and did other things. And I just, sometimes people would ask me what I did. I would say I'm a life coach because I was a life coach then. I still feel like I'm a life coach, but I would say I'm a life coach. I didn't know how to talk about what I would do. And then people would be like, what's that? And I'd be like, well, And it was hard for me to own it, Barbara. Like, I felt like if I'm going to say I'm a coach, that means my life has to be perfect. So I went on, I did other things. I was a high school counselor. I did body work for some time, but in the back of my mind, I always wanted to launch my coaching business. And then several years later, I did another coaching program. And through that, I started doing a regular women's circle in my living room, because I didn't have the money to go rent a space. And I said, well, I could just have people here. So I did a weekly women's group every week for like, I don't know, maybe it was a year. I was very scared to make offers. So I did make a few offers, but they weren't confident offers. I was just like, well, I'm here. If you want to talk to me, you can, but I didn't, and I didn't have a niche. I didn't know what I was helping them with. And then I made an offer for a group program. At the time, I don't know if we had Zoom or not, but I didn't have Zoom and I didn't know about it. But I did a 4-week program on the phone. So it was a teleconference call. And so about 4 ladies from the women's group joined the call. And I charged, it was under $500. I don't even remember now, but I was so excited. They wrote me checks. And so it was really, really exciting. And so sometimes people have this vision that like, okay, a business is supposed to start, but that's how I started, was doing women's groups. And actually, even before that, I had been wanting to do a women's circle, but I was afraid. So I actually had a friend. I just remember I had a friend and she was in my coaching program, the second coaching program. So we started doing some events together. And so that really broke the ice for me. So sometimes it can feel scary to do something on your own. And then you're like judging yourself, like, why can't I do it? I should be able to do this. This isn't so hard. But fear is a normal part if you've never done something before. So I started with a friend, and then that gave me confidence to break out on my own. So that's how my business started. And then I became a business coach because in those circles, women started asking me if I could help them get clients. And so at that time, I was starting to do some online programs. And my coach at the time was saying, Kandidja, you should find your niche, specify your niche. And I was very reluctant to do that because I really felt like, well, I'm already getting clients. They're doing different things. I feel like I felt like I was limiting myself by picking a niche. And after maybe 5 people asked me to help them get clients, I was like, maybe I'm a business coach now. And so I've been a business coach since.
Vprašala sem v bistvu, zakaj začela svojo poslovno potjo in kako je začela, in je povedala, da je imela, sicer je to dolga zgodba, čisto na kratko, da se je mojstrila skozi razna dela, prej je delala druge stvari, naučila se je poslušati, tudi je šla na izobraževanja za coachinge, za coachinje, in enostavno nihče pa jih ni naučil, kako pridobiti stranko, kako delati z ljudmi. Se pravi, eno je imeti znanje, drugo pa je pravzaprav deliti to znanje z nekom. In tako je nadaljevala korak za korakom. Začela pa je vse skupaj, tako da je organizirala krog, ženski krog v svojem lastnem stanovanju. In takrat je rekla, da je celo tako plaho jih malo nagovorila, če bi kdo kaj se prijavil, ampak ker je bila ona plašna in ne samozavestna, se pač tudi to ni zgodilo, tako kot bi rada. In je kasneje pač so jo usmerili, en izmed coachov jo je usmeril to, da ima svoje področje, svojo nišo, kjer pač nagovarja ljudi in veš, kako nagovarjati ljudi, in je pozneje celo začela, sicer prvo s prijateljem in tako naprej. Okay. So you also help women to own their value. Yeah. So how did you learn to own your value? What happened? I mean, I know through my experience also, what I teach is what I learned before.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's definitely a work in progress. And I will say that I was looking at other people, and I see this so much in my practice, but before I was really putting myself out there as a coach, I was putting a lot of other coaches on pedestals and
Mm,
feeling like I think that I needed permission, or like I was waiting for permission
yeah.
to own my worth, waiting for permission to own my expertise. And then I just realized, so one of the steps, the first step in my 9-step client creation process, the first one is to decide. And so I just had to make a decision that I was going to go for it, that I was going to stop waiting for other people to validate me and say, yes, you're good enough, and be willing to not be perfect and to try things out and do things afraid. And so part of the way I believe that we own our worth is just to really do inventory of like, okay, why do I even want to do this? Why am I uniquely qualified to help clients? What experience do I have from my past that can support people now? And stay rooted in that versus like, oh, this is what this person's doing. This is what this person's saying. Maybe I should be more like this or more like that, and keep coming back to ourselves. And so that's one of the biggest things I see with women in my community or with clients, because they're incredibly talented. The women that I work with, they've traveled alone. They, have advanced degrees. They've had jobs where they have a huge responsibility. And, part of it is like, I think women are conditioned to downplay their skills and their contribution. And so part of the work is to really it's not even about inventing something new, but to really own what you've already done and how that's going to help you move forward in your career and in your business. And so starting with like, why am I uniquely qualified to help people, and focusing on you and what you want to give and not what other people are doing.
Mhm. Vprašala sem, rekla sem, da ona sama pomaga ženskam nazaj pridobiti svojo vrednost, se pravi ta občutek biti vreden, in sem vprašala v bistvu, kako se je ona to naučila sama pri sebi, kaj se je zgodilo, ker moja zgodba je v bistvu, da kaj zdaj učim, je to, kar sem se naučila, ne? In verjetno tudi ona sama. In pravi, da je najprej svoje učitelje nekako postavljala na piedestal, se pravi na višji nivo, se pravi gledala jih je navzgor kot nekaj več, in ona je bila nekaj manj, in se je potem naučila, da ne potrebuje dovoljenja vseh učiteljev in drugih ljudi, da bi ona potem lahko začela biti vredna ali pa nekaj ustvarjati, da je to tvoja pravica in da lahko tudi ti to ustvarjaš. Se pravi, tako kot je povedala, enostavno ni potrebno vprašati za dovoljenje. Yes, and you wrote somewhere, I don't know, maybe on your webpage, to put your soul's passion out there is a true hero story. And I couldn't agree more. And I know we all have fears and thoughts that we can't do it. Yeah?
Yes, I absolutely believe that starting and growing your business is a shero's journey, because once you put yourself out there, so much stuff comes at you, like your insecurities, your fears, your doubts, because if you're not doing that, then there's no reason for that stuff to come up. But once you decide that you're going to grow your business or take the next steps in your business, you're confronted with so much that you have the opportunity to face. So you get to go from worrying about what people think to caring more about what you think. You get to go from like, am I good enough, to deciding that you're good enough. You get to go from watching other people create to you being a creator. So it's a huge opportunity to fall in love with you and accept you for who you are. My acceptance of who I am has grown significantly, Barbara, since starting my own business. And it doesn't mean that I never have fears, doubts, or worries, but that those voices aren't what's driving me. Like, I'm letting my vision, my desires, my passions take the lead, and choosing something else, right? So whereas before, a lot of people, you're listening to the fear voices on autopilot, and you can now choose to, like, I'm going to listen to the voice of my courage. I'm going to listen to the voice of my vision, and I'm going to keep showing up. And then I'm going to create so much momentum for that's just going to be my pattern, versus having a pattern of smallness, of unworthiness. I'm not enough. What are people going to think? So that will get smaller the more that you do this over here.
Okay. Napisala je, da ko začneš z delom, se pravi svojo strastjo, se pravi to dušno strastjo, delati stvari, postaneš, je to res neka zgodba heroja. Zakaj ne? Ker vsi imamo strahove in misli, ko želimo začeti nekaj novega, nekaj tako velikega, in mislimo, da mi ne moremo tega narediti, mi ne moremo tega doseči. In Kandidja pravi, da je tale fokus, da premakneš iz drugih na sebe, da začneš le kaj drugi delajo, ne? Dejansko kaj lahko ti ustvariš, da ne samo, da opazuješ, ampak se ti odločiš. In to je tisto bistveno, ne? Da začneš delati. In pomembno, da pozornost iz drugih pravzaprav preusmeriš nase in da se odločiš, da bo ta zgodba strahov in majhnosti pravzaprav se zmanjševala in da boš dajala pozornost tej drugi zgodbi. But Kandidja, what if you have a bad day? What do you do?
If I have a bad day, I use my tools. Like, sometimes I might be feeling some sad or upset emotions, and like, I just give myself the space to feel them. And my tools are, I do the things that replenish me, that make me feel good. So for me, that's like a hot Epsom salt bath, that's writing in my journal, that's going on a walk, that's laying in my hammock in the sun, for 5 minutes or longer. And like, I come up and I'm like, oh God, that felt so good being in the sun. I do fear inventory, which is a process where I write down my fears. I know some people in their journals, they don't like to write down their anger or their sadness, but I use my journal for everything. It's my affirmations and what I'm claiming, but it's also like, I'm really hurt by this, or I'm really frustrated by that. And so I give myself permission to express it, to feel it. Talk to someone if I'm upset. Sometimes with my husband, we do this spring cleaning where he asks me a question over and over again. So he might say, like, what do you have on, anger, for example? I'm just using that. And so I'll say it. I'm like, oh, I was really upset because, this person said they were going to do it and they didn't. And he'll say, thank you. What do you have on anger? And so we'll do that for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So I'm not devoid of getting upset, feeling petty, but I use my tools, and I feel like that really replenishes me. So it's like, I think that my state, like, I lean towards happiness and joy, but that doesn't mean that I don't get sad or angry or feel frustrated. And sometimes we just need time to move through our emotional cycle. And then it's a new hour, it's a new day.
Yeah. We are just human beings. Yes.
Absolutely. I get, impatient with my kids sometimes. I'm like, how many times? How many times? Like, can mama just ask you one time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know all of that, yes. Vprašala sem jo v bistvu, kaj naredi, ko ima slab dan, ne, če ga sploh ima, ne, in pravzaprav pravi, da seveda ga ima, tako kot vsi ostali, saj smo samo ljudje, in da takrat pravzaprav si privošči stvari, ob katerih se dobro počuti. Lahko je to, da gre v bano, ne, se pravi si naredi kopel, lahko si gre sončit, lahko bere knjigo, se pogovarja z možem, ki jo sprašuje določena vprašanja, in potem, se pravi, ta čustva izginejo, ne, se zmanjša ta napetost. Absolutno dela stvari, ki jo veselijo, tako da enostavno potem ta slaba volja izgine. In piše dnevnik. Ja, to zdaj je zelo popularno, pisati dnevnik, ker zapisuješ svoje strahove, svoje čustva, se pravi, vse zapisuješ noter. Ona pravi, da nekateri se tega izogibajo, ker ne marajo negativnosti pisati, ne. Ona pravi, da vse piše, ker je to nekaj, kar njo podpira. Yes. But as you said before, but once again, what you felt at the beginning of your business path, was there a lot of fear or?
Absolutely. There was a lot of fear, I had questions like, I thought people would think like, who does she think she is to be a coach, because sometimes, like I was saying earlier, I sometimes talk to clients who feel like they don't like the word coach, not all of them, or sometimes they feel like they have to have their life perfect or together before they can help others. So I definitely had some of that. I didn't know how to talk about what I did, so that was uncomfortable. I remember doing my first videos. I didn't even know that I was supposed to look at the camera, so I was looking down like this. And you can see all of these videos on YouTube or on Facebook. They're still there. And so I was scared, but I did it anyway. And what I did was, you always have to ask yourself, what would help you feel more confident? What would help you feel more prepared? Maybe you need to have bullet points and you have a little Post-it. So you feel like, if you're stuck and you don't know what to do, you have something to look at. Yeah. So of course I had fears around pricing. Were people going to pay? And then, it's not just at the beginning that you have fears. As you continue to grow your business, you have fears. So you might, let's say you're in a place of you've been charging and you want to increase prices. Sometimes people have a fear that, your old clients won't stay or new clients won't pay this new price. And so anytime you're doing something new, it's normal to feel nervous or afraid or wonder how people are going to respond, because you're putting our business is our art, it's your heart. And so you're putting your art and your heart out there and you don't know how it's going to be received. But part of the reason why you put it out there is because you want to express who you are. So that's one part of the transaction, is like, you want to be fully self-expressed and share what's inside you. And you also want people to interact with it, and you want to get clients if you're watching this and you're an entrepreneur and you want to grow your business. But I was afraid, and I did it afraid, and I still do things afraid. And if you just know that it's a part of the process, then you get to learn to like be with those sensations. So the way that I used to experience nervousness, Barbara, before is completely different than the way that I experience it now. Before, I would make it wrong. I would assume that other people don't look afraid, so they're not afraid. And I'm like, wow, why am I feeling so nervous, so afraid? I feel like I want to throw up. And then the way that I have looked at that fear has shifted, and it's just energy. And so if like you can open yourself to your own energy, to feeling your own like excitement, your own nerves, and breathing with that. I know that you're know so much about mindfulness and teach on that. Like, then if we can learn to like breathe into that, then it can feel less overwhelming. You're beginning to regulate your nervous system, whereas before it would feel overwhelming to my nervous system.
Vprašala sem, kaj je ona občutila na začetku svoje poslovne poti in kar nisem prej povedala, ker je rekla, da glede čustev, da samo dovoli, ko ima slab dan, dovoli, da čuti, kar čuti, da ne pospravlja več čustev pod preproge, pa se dela, da jih ni, ampak čuti, kar čuti. In isto tukaj je rekla, da je čutila veliko strahu, seveda, ker so bile nove stvari, ker je stopala čist na novo pot in kadarkoli stopamo na novo, pridejo strahovi, se odprejo. Tudi kasneje se odprejo. In je rekla, v bistvu ni niti vedela, kam naj gleda v kamero, tako kot jaz v bistvu gledam v kamero, pa gledam njo, tako mešano, zato da je tudi meni lažje, da ne gledam v nič. In tako je ona tudi začela. In imaš razne listke, tako kot imam jaz zdaj list z vprašanji, ker si pomagam, ker angleščina nikakor ne govorim vsak dan in ni moj prvi jezik, zato si pomagam in podpiram, sploh ker je tudi ta pogovor nekako prvi zame v tem jeziku. In pa v bistvu je vedno mislila, da pač to prepričanje, kdo sem pa jaz, da lahko to delam. Tudi jaz sem imela to sama prepričanje in ko greš čez to, vidiš, da je to samo glava, ko ti govori nekaj misli, zaradi tega, ker stopaš na nekaj novega, v nek nov sistem, na novo pot in so novi koraki. In pravi, da kadarkoli, tudi kasneje, ko že to obvladaš, ko si že naprej, ko si že samozavestnejša, pridejo strahovi, zato ker se odpira nekaj novega. Ko želiš večji zaslužek, večji prihodek, se zopet moraš naučiti nekaj novega in to je zate neznano, tako da zopet pridejo strahovi. For example, at the beginning, I thought I have fears, but then I noticed that this is just excitement, Yeah?
Yeah.
Because we sometimes can't say, is this fear or is this excitement?
Exactly.
Yeah?
It feels similarly in the body. And so if we can tell our mind that, oh,
Yeah.
I'm excited about this opportunity, and even I stopped even labeling it fear and nervousness. Like I just started saying, oh, I'm noticing some butterflies in my stomach, or noticing, identifying the sensation that you're feeling in your body versus judging it as fear. Because if you say fear, then it's like you close, and then excitement is more of an opening, right? So you can.
It's not bad. It's not so bad.
Exactly. So you want to be very diligent with the words that you use so that it empowers you to take the action versus makes you afraid to take the action.
Torej, dodala sem še vprašanje, da pred začetkom, pravzaprav preden smo začeli, sem jaz čutila eno tako vznemirjenje, in ker sem mislila, da so to strahovi, in sem jo vprašala, je možno, da mi zamenjamo strah pa navdušenje, in je rekla, da ja, ker v bistvu je to zelo podoben občutek v telesu, lahko so metuljčki v trebuhu, pa pravzaprav je samo tako navdušenje, ker je nekaj novega, ker čakaš, da se bo zgodilo, ker ne veš, kaj bo, ni pa nujno, da je to strah. In da pravzaprav ona ne etiketira več, v bistvu to je strah, ker ko rečemo strah, se tako zakrčimo, telesa se zakrčijo, in ko pa rečemo, da je nekako navdušenje, se pa odpremo. Tako da pravi samo, da zazna, da se nekaj dogaja, pa da ima metuljčke in da je to, niti ne reče več, da je to strah, ampak imam metuljčke v trebuhu. So the next question for you is doula, is this the right business doula? Yeah. What did you mean when you wrote that you are like a business doula?
Well, so a doula is someone who assists a woman and her family in childbirth. And so in college, I majored in women's studies. And one of the courses I took was called Reproductive Health Technologies. And in that class, we learned about childbirth around the world. And I loved this class so much. And after taking the class, I was like, I want to give birth to my children at home. That's how it's supposed to happen. No, I don't mean that like if you're watching this, I mean you're supposed to have your child at home. But I meant for me, I was like, I really would love to have my children at home. And shortly after that class, I took a doula training, not because I wanted to be a doula as a profession, but I was so interested in learning about childbirth and I felt really passionate about it. And so I went through that training, and similar to other trainings, like if you go to coaching school or massage school, you have to have intern hours. And so I assisted several births. And doula is, I think it's a Greek word. I think it means servant. So it's like you're there to serve the mother and to help her give birth. And as a business owner, as a coach, a teacher, a guide, you're giving birth to your business. And so I feel like I'm serving my clients to like give birth to their vision and their dream. And I feel like there's a lot of parallels there with supporting women in childbirth, because you can feel really excited. I'm hearing my kids in the background. I hope you're not.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
Okay.
Nice to hear them. Yeah.
So, and when you have the idea, you can feel really excited about it, and you're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then, you can lose enthusiasm, or you put something out there and you don't get the response that you want. And then you feel like you want to give up. And even in childbirth, like you feel like there's a point where you're like, I can't do this. I know I said that. I was like, I can't. And it's like, you have to, you're already doing it. Right. And so I love being with, so, as a doula, you're with the woman in birth. And like, I feel like I'm with my clients through all of that, through the excitement of growing their business, but then also like the disappointment, the failures, but then staying with it and knowing that they can do it and give birth to this thing that they're really proud of.
Mm-hmm. A few years ago, I also said that I am like a doula. Yeah. Because I didn't introduce myself at the beginning of this chat today. But I am, for all of you that you don't know me, I am Barbara Pust-Velikanje, and I am a coach for relationships and a medium. And that's why I called myself doula, because I help people to, like when you hurt their people on the other side, when they died, and I gave them messages. It was like a new, they born again, It was like that, and it was like, yeah, I'm really a doula. I can do that.
You are.
So, to translate, vprašala sem jo, ko je napisala, da je poslovna doula, ne vem, kako se točno v slovenščini tu reče, kaj je mislila s tem, in je rekla, da je v bistvu, ko je še hodila v šolo, pravzaprav imela predmet rojstev, porodov, kjer je študirala in bila seznanjena z porodi, kako potekajo, kakšni so običaji v različnih delih sveta, različnih državah. In je takrat rekla, da bo ona to postala ta spremljevalka pri nosečnicah, od začetka pa vse do poroda, da gre z njo skozi vse faze, lepše in manj lepše. Da tudi praktično je mogla biti prisotna, in prisotna pri nekaj rojstvih, tako da je imela to izkušnjo. In potem, ko je šla na drugo pot, se odločila in rekla, da je poslovna doula, ker pomaga ljudem pri rojstvu, njihovem rojstvu, posla in gre isto skozi vse pluse in minuse in vzhičanja, veselja in tako tudi strahov in slabe volje. In potem sem tudi povedala, da sem tudi jaz sama sebi to rekla, ne, ker prejemam sporočila preminulih in sem ugotovila na eni točki, da sem kot dula, ki spremlja pravzaprav ljudi na novo, kot da se na novo rodijo, ko prejmejo ta sporočila in hkrati pošilja dušice na drugo stran v svetlobo. Yeah, about this doula, ne, I think that knowing that you are supported, yeah, is a huge thing because we feel safe. And that's why we can go further step by step. We need to feel, to be safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, support is critical. I mean, I work with so many clients who, depending on the work that they do, maybe their family or the people in their lives don't really understand. And so if you're already dealing with some of the things that we talked about, like fear, doubt, imposter syndrome, and then you don't have the support of the people around you, it is like there's just so many blocks ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes it really difficult for you to launch, to have sustainability. So support is a non-negotiable. And I don't think that we are meant to do things alone. I mean, everything that I've done in my business, I've had support to do. And just having that container is incredibly valuable. So there's the support, like the emotional support of knowing someone's there, but then just knowing the practical things to do, because you might not know if you haven't done it before.
Mm-hmm. You know, here in Slovenia, it's like this program that you must do everything alone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something bad if you need help.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
well, I'm sure so many people who are watching can relate to that. Like I think that we have this idea, or many people have this idea, that they should just be smart enough to figure it out. Yeah. It's like, well, everything has a learning curve. Being a mom has a learning curve. Being learning how to drive has a learning curve. Starting a business has a learning curve. And people have done things before you to make the path easier. Mm-hmm. And so you don't have to do it alone if that's not your desire. And you can shorten your learning curve and go faster by getting the support.
Yeah, faster. Yeah, I like that. Rekla sem, da ko veš, da imaš podporo, nekoga kot je coach oziroma kot je Kandidja, je velika stvar, ker se počutiš varno in se lahko nasloniš na nekoga, ker ko začneš stopati na svojo poslovno pot, pa ne samo to, karkoli v življenju že odpirate na novo, mogoče tvoja okolica tega ne podpira, tvoja družina ne podpira in zato v bistvu potem niti ne moreš nekaj novega ustvariti, ne moreš roditi tega nove stvari, novega programa, karkoli je. Če pa imaš podporo, pa je tako, da se lahko nasloniš, nekdo je vedno tam s tabo, v dobrem in slabem. In rekla sem tudi, da pravzaprav v Sloveniji imamo ta program usidran v sebe, sploh ženske, da moramo vse same narediti, čim več. In če tega ne zmoremo, da je nekaj narobe z nami in da je slabo, če potrebuješ podporo, ne? I think that I have something here now when we are talking about to be support.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot.
That's so interesting. Yes, I feel like our growing your business is all about this chakra. I mean, all of them, but like just expressing your voice, sharing what's on your mind, asking for help, which people really, I mean, and I put myself in that, you know, I've gotten better over time, but it's like sometimes what comes up for people around asking for help is like, so I'm thinking about it in two ways. One is asking for help, especially let's say you already have a business, and then hiring help to help you with your business. Mm-hmm. I know I felt like, oh, it's going to take me longer to train someone to do this when I can just do it myself. right? And so I know initially I've been working with a VA maybe for 2 years now, but it was hard for me to relinquish work over. And it's like, she actually can do it better than me, you
Mm.
know? But initially I felt like I really had to think about what I needed help with. And so I've had clients just begin to write, like, if you did have help, this doesn't mean you have to go and get the help, but just make a list of what do you wish you could have help with. And if you don't have a business, like just even in your household, like maybe you would love help with cleaning, or maybe you would love help with the kids. Maybe you would love help, you know, with your marketing plan. So even if you don't go get the help, just like a preliminary step could be, if I did get help, what would I love to, you know, have support around? And I think that it requires a new muscle, and it requires a lot of trust too,
Mhm.
to let others see you and support you, is not easy. And it's a place where we can practice in different areas of our lives, you know?
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like where can I ask for help? What is it that I want to say that I'm not saying?
Yeah.
Um, and giving yourself permission to share that, like, whether it's for business or not, like, we're allowed to share. We're here to share. That's why we're here, because we want to leave this planet and share who we are. I mean, if we just look at social media, whether you have a business or not, like, people love to share about their lives, you know, like, this is what I'm doing, this is where I went. Like, I feel like it's a part of our human nature is to share and connect and to feel seen. That's part of why we want to share. To, like,
Mm.
'cause you're sharing a bit of your soul, you know, like, this is who I am, and you want to be seen and acknowledged for it.
But first, we must say and admit to ourselves, I can't do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even in the privacy of your own thoughts, like, I'm
Yeah.
struggling. This is really hard. I'm open to help. You know, I'm willing to get help, even if I don't know how, or even if I'm uncomfortable asking for help.
Mhm, mhm. Rekla sem, da ko so govorile o podpori, ne, in teh slovenskih programih, pravzaprav se je moje grlo začelo čistiti in so prišle do tega, ja, da ni dejansko tako lahko zaprositi za pomoč, in da ni slabo, ne, če zaprosiš za pomoč, ker smo tu zato, da delimo, da si pomagamo, in da tudi sama je imela to izkušnjo, kako težko je v bistvu dala delo drugim in celo razmišljala, ali naj sploh deli svoje delo, da bo njej lažje, ker ima 2 otroka, ne, še manjša doma, da bo njej lahkotnejše, in ker bi morala potem te nove ljudi naučiti, vsega tega, kar ona zna, in potem je ugotovila, da pravzaprav oni še bolje obvladajo to delo kot ona sama in da ni problem v tem, ne. Gre se samo za to, da se odločimo, da si priznamo, da ne moremo več, tudi če samo sami sebi v svoji notranjosti in ne na glas, da priznamo in si potem dovolimo sprejeti pomoč, ker ni nič slabega. Ja, in beseda, zdaj mi je padla na pamet, okej, pomoč. Gremo po svojo moč. Um, um, what would you recommend to all who are at the beginning of their business path right now?
Hmm. Well, I would recommend start looking at other people who are doing what you want to do for inspiration. So whether that's on social media, following profiles of people that you admire, not just following them, but like, what is it about what they're doing that you would like to do? You know, like, oh, this person has a Facebook group, or I like that this person does the videos, or I like how this person writes. And so it's really helpful to have models of people that are doing what you want to do,
Mhm.
and being really clear on who you help and what you help people with. And then you can just start sharing. You know, like, sometimes people think that, like, it's like you can just start sharing on that topic, you know? So if you are, I'm just going to say, a yoga instructor, like, you could share about your yoga practice. you know, whether it's pictures of you doing yoga, whether it's, you know, maybe you were feeling resistant to doing yoga this morning, but you did it and something opened up for you. What type of yoga it is that you practice. So like just beginning to start the conversation on what you want to do. I mean, in the niche, just begin sharing content on that. And that's going to have people see you in that light. So it's like, if you're always talking about yoga, they're like, oh, she's the yoga person, you know, so you can begin to have people regard you and see you in that way. And then I would say get support so that you know what things to do, what skills you need, what you need to have in place in order to launch your business, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And you know, people have a proven path. So like find someone that you resonate with and get the support. And you definitely want to be in a community of like-minded souls who understand what you're trying to do, because it's really challenging when you're trying to do something that's out of the mold of the community that you're in. But if you're in a community, then you're all doing it together and it feels incredible. So I'll just give you an example. Is one of the first programs that I did, my daughter, so this was like 6 years ago. And so we had to do Facebook videos. There was not live then, but we would record videos and we'd have to post them in the group. And that's how I got comfortable doing videos, just doing that. So those initial videos, I was looking down at myself like this.
Yeah.
And that's like, oh, you're supposed to look at the light. So doing that, and it's like, I probably would have been scared if I did it on my own, but like other people were doing it too. So I can't recommend enough the value of being in a community of like-minded people who are moving in the same direction as you. And then you're a part of their energy and it moves you along.
It's easier.
Yes, absolutely.
Torej, kaj bi predlagala, je bilo vprašanje vsem, ki šele začenjate ali pa ste na začetku poslovne poti, in je povedala, da predvsem poglejte k ljudem, ki že to opravljajo, ki so uspešni na vašem področju, kaj delajo, kako delajo, ne da postanete kot oni, ampak da vidite in se učite od njih. In seveda ohranite svojo individualni pogled in pristop. Poudarila je tudi, da je dobro dobiti si podporo, naj si bo to coach ali skupina ljudi, krog ljudi, kjer lahko imate podporo. In je tudi povedala za svoj primer, ker se je ona naučila delati Facebook live. In sicer takrat so vsi delali Facebook live in tako se ga je tudi ona naučila, seveda je gledala stran, ni gledala v kamero, v lučko, ampak stran sama sebe, tako da to je zelo velikokrat smešno, ampak lahko vidite, da ljudje ne vejo, kam gledati. No, to se je naučila in zato je tudi zdaj tudi lažje delati in imeti intervjuje, biti na posnetkih in tako naprej. In pomagati ljudem. Tako da, ja, povezati se z podobno mislečimi ljudmi, dobiti si podporo, opazovati, kaj delajo tisti, ki so že uspešni na tvojem področju, in začeti deliti, in to je pomembno, da začnete deliti svoje znanje tam, kjer ste, in začeti govoriti o tem, kar vi veste v zvezi s tem. To je njeno priporočilo. But Kandidja, before we end, how can we transform fear into courage? What can we do to overcome our fears, or what did you do to overcome your fears?
Yeah, so like I said, it's not like I never feel fear, but one of the ways to transform fear into confidence or into courage is to do the thing afraid. When you do the thing afraid, you are being courageous. And then because normally before you take the action, you have all these judgments, all these thoughts about what's going to happen on the other side. And usually it's something bad. And so when you find the courage or just choose that you're going to take a courageous action. So I'm not saying wait until you feel courageous, is that you're going to choose to take the next step afraid, and then that expands your capacity. So let's use the video, for example. You know, you've been wanting to do Facebook Lives and you're just like, oh my God, no one's going to show up. I'm going to be terrible. What if I forget what I'm going to say? And you decide that Monday at 3 o'clock, you're going to go live anyway, even if no one shows up. And someone can show up because you can ask someone to show up to be there for you. But let's just say in the instance that no one shows up, you do your Facebook Live and it's now there recorded on Facebook. You do it and you're like, oh my God, that was actually fun. I really enjoyed teaching. And people actually did show up. Or if no one showed up, maybe they saw the replay and you now see how many people saw the replay. So I would say the first thing is, we usually have an intuitive hit about what we should be doing next. And so it could be writing a post, it could be a live, it could be hosting a workshop. And so I would do it afraid. And then what we talked about earlier, which is looking at your, like, what uniquely qualifies you. I want you to take inventory of your skills, your gifts, your education, so that you're in touch with what you're bringing to the table. And really like ground yourself in that. This is why I'm uniquely qualified. And sometimes it's hard to do that for yourself, but you can ask people in your life, like, what is it that you admire about me? Or what do you feel like are my strengths? Sometimes it's easier to have other people reflect that back to us than to do it ourselves. Of course, the goal is for you to be able to do it yourself and also be able to receive it from others. But if it feels difficult for you to do it yourself, ask others in your life what your strengths are and really receive that. So I would
Something went wrong. Are we back?
yes. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So I was saying that take it, do it scared, because sometimes people think that if they're afraid, that means they shouldn't take the action.
Okay.
When oftentimes you just have to do it afraid and get support so that you can do it. And again, even though I'm saying do it afraid, let's shift our energy to, I'm feeling a lot of energy because I'm doing something I haven't done before. But ask yourself, what would make you feel more confident to do it and get that support or help?
Yeah, that's important. Vprašanje je bilo, kako spremeniti strah v pogum, in je povedala, da ko naredimo stvari tako, da nas je strah, se pravi s strahom, smo šele pogumni. Se pravi, da ne čakamo, kdaj bomo postali pogumni, ampak delamo korake. Kot primer Facebook Live-a, se pravi, greš in se posnameš, enostavno si določiš, lahko samo rečeš, da boš, pa se nisi čisto odločil, lahko pa se odločiš in rečeš, v ponedeljek ob 11 bom tukaj in naredim Facebook Live. In mogoče prav zaradi tega koraka dobiš tudi naslednjo idejo, kaj pravzaprav naslednjič povedati in tako naprej. Tako se premikaš skozi. In po drugi strani pa je fajn imeti veliko podpore, zato da ko te je strah, imaš podporo in lahko greš naprej. Hkrati pa tudi si napišeš, kaj so tiste tvoje posebnosti, pa dobre plati, kaj obvladaš, kje si dobra, s tem se opogumiš in potem greš. Se pravi, na en način se vprašaš, kako lahko zmanjšaš ta strah, oziroma da se čim prijetneje počutiš, ko boš delala ta posnetek, in potem imaš podporo, in potem kljub temu, da še vedno čutiš strah, greš v snemanje. Tako da je zelo, zelo bistvena ta podpora. So, okay, one more question.
Yes.
About self-esteem, because I really think that this is so important thing when we start business, or if we want to be successful. Yeah. What is about self-esteem? What can we do to achieve that?
Yeah. I think that part of what we were just talking about, which is acknowledging your strengths
Okay.
and taking inventory of all the things. And one of the things is to celebrate all your milestones. So often people are trying to achieve a particular goal. Let's say it's over here. And so
Mm.
maybe it's a monetary goal. I want to get this goal, but there's all these things that you have to do to get there. And people don't acknowledge this. And so each time you acknowledge yourself for doing the live, for writing the post, for getting the calls, you build self-esteem. Each time you follow through on a commitment to yourself, you build self-esteem. Each time you move in the direction of a vision or goal you have, you build self-esteem. When you receive what people are telling you, what positive feedback that you're getting, you build self-esteem. When you take courageous action and you do things that you're afraid of, you build self-esteem. So we can luckily build self-esteem and grow self-esteem, but that doesn't mean we have to have a certain level of confidence before we take action, because taking courageous action also builds self-esteem. I would say when I started, I took imperfect action, and that built confidence and self-esteem.
Mhm, mhm.
And then we
Okay.
just have to choose and decide that we are worthy. You have to choose and decide that I am worthy. What I have to give is of value. It's by no accident that I'm here. If I'm breathing and there's breath in my body, I am meant to be here and take up space. So deciding that I'm going to share what God, what source put in my heart to share, because it feels good to me, and and that's why I'm here. We're humans and we want to express ourselves, and so we, at a certain point, you just have to decide, like, I'm going to show up for me. When you show up for you, when you show up for your desires and for your dreams, you build self-esteem.
Oh, nice. Vprašanje je bilo, kako pridobiti to samozavest, ne, če želimo deliti sebe z ljudmi, deliti svoje znanje s svetom. In pravi, da je zelo podobno, ne, kar je do sedaj povedala, ne, da si naredimo ta spisek, v čem smo dobri, kaj je tisto, tudi kar smo že naredili in je bilo uspešno, in na neki točki, da se odločimo za to, da gremo proti svojim sanjam, ne da stojimo, ampak gremo. Tudi ona sama je v bistvu začela na tak način, da je naredila korake, ki niso bili perfektni, niso bili popolni. In šele je proces, ne, s prakso pravzaprav dobiš to samozavest in s svojimi rezultati, zato se moraš pa pomikati naprej. Okay, so I have many more questions, but I think we are already tired. So tell me just one thing. What is a money quiz?
Yes, I do have a money quiz, although I think I prefer to share my ultimate guide, but I'll tell you what the money quiz. I have a quiz
Okay.
called the Sacred Money Archetypes Quiz, and there are 8 sacred money archetypes, and that quiz allows you to find out your top 3 money archetypes and your strengths and challenges around money. It's money, but also just how you show up in the world and how you can more play up your strengths and be mindful about the challenges you could potentially face. So with that awareness, you can make better choices. So the quiz, you can take that quiz. It's bloominto.com/quiz.
Okay.
And yeah, you could, if you go to bloominto.com, they can find my other gift too, which is the ultimate guide to client creation. And in that guide, I share the 4 secret, I call them the 4 M's to manifesting clients. And so we cover mindset, beliefs, confidence. We cover like how you can manifest the things that you want to in your business. We go over marketing and how to monetize your expertise. So all of that can be found on the website bloomintoyou.com.
I will put that in the comments
Okay.
on Facebook. Okay.
Perfect.
Torej, vprašala sem jo, kaj je ta denarni kviz, ki ga ima in je nekaj časa si ga lahko dobil brezplačno, in pravi, da ima zdaj v bistvu, mislim, da drugo elektronsko knjigo, ki je brezplačna, lahko naročite pri njej. Je pa rekla, da bo vam posredovala tudi tale kviz, če ga bi želeli, in bo link v komentarju spodaj. Gre se za 8 arhetipov denarnih, in ko rešiš kviz, dobiš 3 arhetipe, 3 vrline tvoje, pa 3 izzive, ki jih imaš v zvezi z denarjem, tako da lahko sebe bolj spoznaš skozi te stvari. Ta elektronska knjiga pa v bistvu nagovarja potem še dodatno druge stvari znotraj tebe, ne? O vsem, kar smo tudi zdaj govorili v tej urici, tako da vabljena, da klikneš po končanem posnetku, po zaključku, pogledaš v prve komentarje. Do you have any events right now or a program that you can invite people, women into?
Yeah, well, I'd love for you to check out my Facebook group, Women Coaches in Bloom, and I do trainings there on client creation most Mondays or every other Monday in my group, and on my website where you are directing them for the guide. If you want to talk to me about my Client Creation Queen program and how I help my clients get paying clients and package their offering, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about that as well.
Torej, kje jo lahko poiščemo? Povedala je zopet link, ki ga bom dala spodaj, kjer jo lahko kontaktirate, in vam bo povedala več o svojih programih. V bistvu pa lahko tudi se povežete za 15-minutni brezplačni pogovor z njo, kjer boste pogledali v bistvu, kako vam lahko pomaga, kako ti lahko pomaga, in pa seveda pravzaprav svojim strankam pomaga, kako zapakirati svoje znanje, kako prenesti to do svojih strank, pa seveda kako pridobiti svoje prve stranke in zaslužiti na ta način denar za življenje. So, we are at the end, Kandidja. It was not so hard, yeah?
It was such, thank you so much, Barbara, for having me. As you were translating, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing that you're translating. And I just had like this vision of like 2 circles, like you're holding 2 worlds. It's pretty epic that you are doing this. And I really enjoyed our conversation. And I hope that your community enjoys it as well.
Yeah, and if they have some questions for you, they can put them in the comments also.
Absolutely, and I'll swing. If you tag me, then I can come and check out the comments.
Okay. Thank you. I was in that part in this conversation with you for the first time, also using English, in a chat with someone and on Zoom. So it's a big deal for me and a lot of fears.
Yeah, well, you did great.
Yeah, I am brave.
You are very brave.
And you are also here in Slovenia on Zoom, but you are here. So it is also the first time for you, isn't it?
It was my first time to Slovenia. Thank you.
So thank you. And we will see again. We said that we will have also a free workshop maybe.
Yes, we'll
one day.
More about that. I would love that.
Yeah, okay. So thank you. Bye-bye, Kandidja.
Bye, everyone.
And to all of you. Adijo, vsem skupaj.